The planet Vayara was a place of endless skies, glowing with colors that humans could hardly imagine. The twin suns cast golden streaks over mountains made of crystal-like rock, and rivers of liquid silver carved through the valleys. The air was thick with a mist that shimmered like morning dew, and the forests seemed alive, whispering as if they carried secrets of 1,000 years in the heart of this world. A creature named Liara moved cautiously through the shadows of the tallest trees. She was of her species, the Viari, a proud and fierce race known for their sharp minds and unmatched agility. Liara had always been curious about humans, yet she had been taught to fear them. Tales of human violence and destruction had filled the minds of her people for generations. They said humans could not be trusted. They said humans would bring chaos wherever they went. Liara had believed those warnings, and for many years, she kept her distance. She watched from afar as human explorers landed on Viara, their ships leaving strange footprints and burning paths through the forests. Liara had hidden whenever a human was near, her wings blending with the shadows, her eyes glowing faintly in the darkness. She had not yet met one human face to face, but she knew she did not want to. Yet curiosity can be a powerful force. One day, while exploring the northern cliffs of Viara, she saw a human unlike any she had heard of in stories. He moved with a calm confidence, examining the alien terrain with careful attention. His uniform suggested he was a soldier, but there was something different in the way he carried himself. He did not destroy what he walked on. He did not shout or threaten the creatures he saw. He observed. He paused. He respected Liora's curiosity grew, and despite her instincts, she began to follow him from the shadows. She watched as he set up a small camp near the edge of a shimmering river. The human worked alone, carefully placing equipment and marking the area, always checking his surroundings. There was no chaos in his actions, no careless destruction. He was methodical, patient, and surprisingly gentle for a being she had been taught to fear. Days passed, and Liara observed him closely. At first, she stayed hidden high in the trees, barely daring to breathe in his presence. But she could not help noticing small details, the way he treated injured animals, giving them water and bandaging wounds. The way he paused to marvel at the silver river as if he appreciated its beauty rather than seeking to exploit it. Slowly, Liara's fear began to give way to intrigue. She remembered the stories her elders had told her, stories of human greed and violence. She had believed them without question. But here, before her eyes, was a human who did not fit any of those descriptions. He seemed different one evening as the twin suns dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of crimson and violet. The human noticed movement in the trees. Liara froze, her instincts screaming at her to vanish. But curiosity anchored her in place. The human looked up, his eyes scanning the treetops. Then, slowly, he smiled. "I know you're there," he said softly, in a voice that carried no threat. "You don't need to hide." Liara's heart raced. No human had ever spoken to her like this before. Her species taught that humans were loud, aggressive, and unpredictable. Yet this one, he seemed patient, understanding. She felt a strange pull, a mixture of caution and fascination. For a long moment, neither moved. Liara studied him, noticing the calm determination in his stance. He seemed to radiate something she could not name, something that made the hair on her arms rise. Finally, she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "Why are you here?" The human crouched slightly, keeping his hands visible to show he meant no harm. "I'm exploring," he said. "I want to understand this world. I've heard stories about your people, but I want to see for myself. I don't want to fight. I just want to learn." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Your kind has always fought, always taken, always destroyed." "I know," he admitted, "and I know there are humans who are not like me. But I'm trying to be different. I'm trying to prove that we can respect other life, that we can coexist." Liara felt a flicker of something she had never felt before. Hope. Could it be true? Could a human really be trustworthy? Her mind raced with doubt. She had spent her entire life fearing them. Could she allow herself to believe that this one was different? Days turned into weeks. Liara continued to watch, sometimes from a distance, sometimes closer. The human, whom she had learned was named Captain Marcus, began leaving small signs of friendship. He placed a bowl of water near a fallen tree, where Liara often hid. He left small gifts and smooth stones, delicate flowers, and shiny objects that seemed meaningless to him but fascinated her. Liara was torn. Part of her wanted to flee, to return to the safety of her people. Part of her was drawn to him, intrigued by his patience, his kindness, and his unwavering respect for the world around him. She began to follow him openly, her wings folded, no longer hidden in the shadows. One day, Marcus noticed her perched on a low branch. "Hello," he said gently. "I'm glad you came to see me. I promise I won't hurt you." Liara tilted her head, unsure if she could trust him. "Why do you care?" she asked. "Why not leave me alone?" "Because I believe life is precious," he replied. "Every being has value, even those who fear us. Even those who think we cannot be trusted." His words struck her. She had heard such things from her elders, but never with such sincerity. The way he looked at her, the calmness in his voice, made her heart slow. For the first time, she felt that humans could be more than the monsters she had imagined. Over the next few days, Liara and Marcus began to communicate in small ways. She learned to mimic some of his words. He learned to understand some of her gestures. Slowly, a bridge was forming between them, a fragile connection built on trust and curiosity. Yet, deep inside, Liara knew this bond was dangerous. Her people would never accept it. They warned that humans were deceitful, that no good could come from trusting them. And yet she could not stop thinking about him, about the kindness he had shown, about the careful way he moved through the world. One evening, as the moons of Ayara rose and cast silver light across the land, Marcus sat by the river, sketching in a small notebook. Liara approached cautiously, her shadow blending with the darkness. He looked up and smiled. "You came," he said. "I was hoping you would." Liara hesitated, then stepped closer. "I don't know why," she admitted. "I should be afraid. I should leave." Marcus shook his head. "You don't have to. You can choose to see the world differently if you want. I'm not your enemy. I just want to be your friend." Something in Liara stirred. For the first time in her life, she felt that maybe, just maybe, humans could be more than her fears had told her. Maybe there was a reason to hope. And so, beneath the twin moons and the silver rivers of Vieira, a fragile trust began to form. The soldier and the alien, two beings from different worlds, began a journey that neither fully understood, a journey that would challenge everything they had been taught and change the future of their worlds forever. But even as hope blossomed, shadows lingered. Liara knew the path ahead would not be easy. Her people would not accept this bond easily, and danger always lurked in the unknown. Still, for the first time, she allowed herself to imagine a future where humans and Veyari could coexist maybe, even thrive together. And in that quiet moment, as the stars began to twinkle above, Liara realized something profound. Sometimes, the greatest battles were not fought with claws or weapons, but with trust, understanding, and the courage to believe in something better. The days after Liara first trusted Marcus were filled with quiet wonder. She observed him closely, fascinated by the way he moved through the forests of Veyara with careful precision. Every step he took seemed calculated yet gentle, leaving the plants untouched, the animals undisturbed. He approached life with patience, a quality rare among humans, or so she had always believed. But Liara soon realized that Veyara was not a peaceful place by nature. Its beauty hid dangers that could strike at any moment. The forests, though, serene during the day, were alive with predators and sudden storms. One afternoon, as the suns rose high, Liara and Marcus were walking along a ridge overlooking a river that shimmered like silver. "Be careful," Liara warned, her wings flicking nervously. "The cliff edges can crumble without warning." Marcus smiled but nodded. "I always watch where I step," he said. "I've learned to respect every planet I visit. Veyara is beautiful, but it has its challenges. As if to prove her point, a sudden rumble echoed through the cliffs. A section of rock cracked and tumbled into the valley below. Liara leaped back instinctively, her wings stretching as she stabilized herself. Marcus remained calm, holding onto a sturdy branch for balance. "You see," Liara said, her voice sharp with concern, "you cannot rely only on what you see. This place is dangerous." Marcus nodded. "And that is why we learn, adapt, and plan. Danger doesn't scare me, it teaches me." Liara felt a mix of admiration and doubt. Humans were unpredictable. Yes, but Marcus was showing her a side of them that was deliberate, intelligent, and cautious. That evening, as the twin moons rose, Liara guided Marcus to a hidden grove she had discovered long ago. It was a place where the silver rivers converged, forming a shallow lake surrounded by tall, crystal-like trees. Few beings dared enter this grove. It was a sanctuary for rare creatures and delicate plants. "This place is safe," Liara explained. "Most humans would destroy it, but I think you will not." Marcus knelt by the water, running his fingers through its cool surface. "It's beautiful," he said softly. "It's a reminder that life can thrive when we protect it." For the first time, Liara realized the depth of his understanding. He did not just explore. He observed, learned, and respected the balance of life. Her suspicion of humans weakened further, replaced by an unusual feeling: trust. But trust alone could not shield them from the trials of Viara. On the third day, a sudden storm swept across the forest. The skies darkened as clouds of green lightning crackled above. Wind tore through the trees, bending them as if they were made of paper. Liara's instinct screamed that this storm was not ordinary. Something about its intensity felt unnatural. Marcus, however, remained calm. "We need shelter," he said, scanning the area. "Do you know a safe place nearby?" Liara led him through a maze of trees to a small cave hidden behind a waterfall. Inside, the roar of the storm was muffled, but the air was damp and cold. They sat together, listening to the chaotic sounds outside. "Why aren't you afraid?" Liara asked finally, her wings trembling slightly. Marcus looked at her with steady eyes. "Fear is natural," he said, "but it cannot control us. We face it, we plan, and we act. That is what makes humans strong." Liara pondered his words. Her species relied on instinct, speed, and raw power to survive. Humans relied on strategy, planning, and intelligence. The contrast fascinated her. She had always believed humans were reckless. But Marcus was proof that some could rise above instinct and fear. When the storm finally passed, they emerged to find the forest altered. Trees had fallen, paths had shifted, and the silver rivers had swollen with rain. Liara's heart sank. This was her home, and it had been damaged in ways even she could not control. Marcus studied the landscape carefully. "We can fix some of this," he said. "We can clear paths, build bridges, and make sure life here survives." Liara blinked. "Fix it? How?" Marcus smiled faintly. "Humans are adaptable. We use tools, intelligence, and teamwork. Let me show you." Over the next few days, Marcus taught Liara simple human techniques for restoring the damaged forest. They cleared fallen branches to create safe paths, redirected streams to prevent flooding, and reinforced weak trees with supports. Liara watched in amazement. She had never seen any being Viari or otherwise work with such determination and precision. Through these efforts, a bond formed between them. Liara began to see Marcus not just as a human, but as a friend, a partner, and a teacher. His methods were foreign to her, but they worked. Slowly, she started to imitate his techniques, combining her agility with his careful planning. Together, they restored much of the grove, even improving it in ways that surprised her. One morning, while collecting water from the Silver River, Liara noticed something moving in the mist, a shadowy figure larger than any known predator. Her wings twitched instinctively. "Marcus," she called, urgency in her voice. Marcus arrived quickly, examining the shadow. "It's not native to this area," he observed. "We need to be careful. Stay close to me." The figure stepped. Into the light, a mechanical drone, sleek and black, with sensors scanning the environment. Liara had never seen anything like it. Marcus studied it with narrowed eyes. "This is advanced technology," he said. "Someone is monitoring the forest. Someone has come here intentionally." Liara felt a pang of fear. Could humans be responsible for this intrusion? Could this be a test of her trust? Marcus shook his head. "Not all humans. Some wish to harm, yes, but I will protect this place. We will find out who sent it." Liara was astonished. She had never imagined a human who would put the forest and its creatures above their own mission. This unwavering commitment was unlike anything she had experienced. As they observed the drone, it emitted a soft signal, scanning the area. Liara realized that if they did not act, the forest could be compromised. Marcus quickly formulated a plan. Using simple tools and materials from their surroundings, they created a diversion that led the drone away from the grove, into a safe area where it could not harm any living creature. The plan worked perfectly. Afterward, Liara perched on a crystal branch, watching Marcus. "You are remarkable," she admitted quietly. "I don't understand how you are not afraid, how you can plan so well." Marcus shook his head, smiling. "We all have fears, Liara. The difference is what we do with them. We use them to think, to act, and to protect what matters." For the first time in her life, Liara began to see the world through human eyes. Not all humans were reckless. Some were careful, some were wise, and some, like Marcus, could be trusted. That night, under the light of the twin moons, Liara allowed herself to rest near him, sharing warmth and quiet companionship. Though she had once feared humans, she now felt that perhaps a new era could begin, not one of mistrust, but of understanding. But even as peace settled over the grove, Liara knew challenges were ahead. The drone was only a sign. If humans could reach Viara with such technology, then others could come with less honorable intentions. Their trust would be tested, and the bond between alien and human would face trials that could determine the fate of the entire forest. Liara spread her wings and looked at Marcus, a newfound determination in her eyes. "Whatever comes," she said, "we will face it together. I believe in you." Marcus nodded. "And I believe in you, Liara. Together we can protect this place and prove that humans and Viari can coexist." As the night deepened, the forest seemed to hum around them, alive with possibility. Liara felt a thrill she had never known, a mixture of hope, courage, and anticipation. The journey ahead would be difficult, but with trust, planning, and respect, perhaps a new future could be forged for both their worlds. And so, under the silver glow of Viara's moons, a partnership was born, an alien and a human, united by curiosity, courage, and a shared dream of coexistence. The grove had begun to feel like a sanctuary. Liara and Marcus worked tirelessly together, repairing the damage left by the storm and preparing for the possibility of future dangers. The silver rivers glimmered under the twin suns, and the crystal-like trees reflected light in dazzling patterns. Yet even in this serene beauty, a shadow lingered. Lyra's instincts told her that the drone was only the beginning. Something or someone was watching the forest, studying its life, its resources, its secrets. She had seen enough of human technology to know that the drone could not act alone. Marcus, too, had a sense of unease. "We need to be ready," Marcus said one morning, his eyes scanning the horizon. "If someone wants to exploit this place, we cannot let them. We have to think ahead." Liara nodded, her wings twitching with tension. "But how? We are only two. How can we face a threat that could be far larger than us?" Marcus smiled faintly. "Strength is not only about numbers. It's about strategy, intelligence, and courage. You have those, Liara, and together we can make a difference." That afternoon, as the suns began to dip behind the mountains, a disturbance shook the grove. The air trembled, and the forest seemed to hold its breath. Liora's sharp eyes detected movement in the midst of a group of machines, far larger than the drone, advancing steadily toward the grove. Their purpose was clear: to gather resources, perhaps to harm the forest, or worse, capture its creatures. Lyra's heart raced. She had never faced an enemy like this before. Humans could be cunning, but she had never imagined their technology. In such scale machines designed for efficiency, speed, and destruction. She looked at Marcus, who remained calm despite the looming threat. "They are here," she whispered. Marcus nodded. "And we will stop them, not with brute force, but with strategy." Together, they devised a plan. Marcus studied the terrain, carefully identifying choke points where the machines could be slowed. Liara, with her agility and knowledge of the forest, mapped out safe routes and escape paths for the creatures that might be caught in the machine's path. They worked quickly, communicating without words, a partnership forged through trust and necessity. As the machines advanced, Liara and Marcus put their plan into action. Using fallen branches, rocks, and natural barriers, they created obstacles that confused the invaders. They led the machines into narrow valleys where their size became a disadvantage, slowing their progress. Marcus used his tools to disable the smaller machines, while Liara guided fleeing animals to safety. Despite the danger, Liara felt a surge of admiration for the human beside her. Marcus was calm, intelligent, and fearless, but never reckless. He anticipated every move, adapted to every challenge, and protected not only himself, but the life around him. Liara realized that humans could be more than just strong, they could be brilliant, compassionate, and determined in ways her species had never valued. Hours passed, and the machines were finally halted at the edge of the forest. Their systems were confused, their programming disrupted by the clever use of the terrain and Marcus's strategic planning. Liara perched high on a branch, watching the retreat of the mechanical invaders. She could hardly believe what they had accomplished. "You did it," she said, her voice filled with awe. "I never thought we could stop them." Marcus shook his head. "We didn't do it alone. You helped me, Liara. Your knowledge of this land, your instincts, your courage, none of this could have worked without you." For the first time, Liara truly felt the strength of collaboration between species. She had once believed humans were reckless and dangerous, but here, working together, they had proven that trust and intelligence could overcome even the most formidable threat. That night, the grove was quiet, filled with the soft hum of life returning. The silver rivers reflected the moons, and the forest seemed to breathe in relief. Liara and Marcus sat together, exhausted but victorious. "I underestimated humans," Liara admitted softly. "I thought you would destroy everything in your path, but you protect, you plan, you care." Marcus smiled. "All humans are the same. Some take without thinking, yes. But some like me choose to protect, to learn, and to respect. I hope that by showing you, you can see the best of us." Liara nodded. "I do. I see it. And I trust you." The bond between them deepened, built not just on admiration, but on shared experience, shared danger, and mutual respect. Liara began to understand that humans were capable of more than instinct and brute force. They could be leaders, strategists, and protectors. But peace was fleeting. The next morning, scouts in the forest reported unusual movement in the distant mountains. Lyra's instincts warned her that the machines had not come alone. Someone or something was directing them, controlling them from afar. Marcus observed the terrain carefully. "We need to find the source. Whoever controls those machines could return with more, bigger, stronger. We cannot wait for them to reach us again." Liara felt a surge of determination. She had spent her life fearing humans and outsiders. Now, standing beside one who had proven his worth, she felt ready to face any threat. Together, they could protect Veyara, its forests, its creatures. And the delicate balance of life, the journey to the mountains was perilous. The paths were narrow, filled with unstable rock formations and hidden dangers. Liara led Marcus through shortcuts only she knew, weaving through the dense forest with skill and precision. Marcus, in turn, used his knowledge of strategy and technology to analyze the terrain, identify potential threats, and plan their approach. Along the way, they encountered creatures unfamiliar to humans. Some were curious, others cautious, and a few were aggressive. Liara guided Marcus, teaching him how to communicate, how to move respectfully, and how to gain the trust of the forest's inhabitants. Marcus listened carefully, absorbing every lesson, proving that humans could learn as quickly as they could act. As they climbed higher into the mountains, the air grew thin and cold. The terrain became more dangerous, with jagged rocks and sudden drops. Lyra's wings were invaluable, allowing her to scout ahead and guide Marcus safely. She marveled at his adaptability. Despite the harsh conditions, he remained calm and focused, his determination unwavering. Finally, they reached a plateau overlooking a hidden valley. There Liara and Marcus saw the source of the threat, a large human-made base, bristling with technology, drones, and machinery. The valley below was filled with devices extracting resources, clearly harming the environment. Liara's heart ached at the sight, but Marcus's presence reminded her that not all humans were like this. "We need a plan," Marcus said quietly. "We cannot confront them directly, they are too strong. But we can disrupt their systems, confuse their machines, and protect the forest." Liara nodded. "We can do it together. You have your strategy. I have the knowledge of this land. We're stronger because of both." And so they began to prepare. Using the terrain to their advantage, they created hidden pathways, set up traps that would slow the machines, and identified critical points in the base that could be disrupted. Every step required careful thought, trust, and courage. As night fell, Liara perched on a high cliff, watching Marcus move through the shadows, setting the final preparations in place. She realized something profound. Humans, when guided by respect and intelligence, could achieve incredible things. Marcus was living proof of that. The first true battle against the invaders had not yet begun, but Liara felt ready. Together, she and Marcus had learned to trust each other, to combine their strengths, and to face challenges that neither could overcome alone. For the first time in her life, Liara believed that humans were capable of greatness, that the reckless, destructive beings her people had feared, but intelligent, compassionate, and determined allies. And as the twin moons rose over the mountains, casting silver light across the hidden valley, Liara and Marcus prepared to face the invaders together, confident that their partnership could protect not only the forest, but the future of Viara itself. The hidden valley stretched before them like a challenge carved into the mountains. Liara perched on a rocky ledge, her eyes scanning the alien base below. Smoke curled from the machines, and the sound of moving gears echoed through the valley. The human soldiers inside the base were unaware that two determined beings, one human, one Viari, were observing their every move. Marcus crouched beside her, studying the layout carefully. "This is bigger than I thought," he murmured. "But we can still protect the forest if we act wisely." Liara nodded. Her wings fluttered nervously. "I know these mountains. I can guide you, but their machines are powerful. We cannot confront them directly." Marcus smiled faintly. "We won't have to. Strategy beats strength when you know the terrain." For hours they mapped the valley, noting weak points in the machines and patterns in the soldiers' routines. Liara pointed out hidden cliffs and narrow passes that could be used to confuse or block the invaders. Marcus took careful notes, his mind working rapidly to combine their strengths into a single plan. As night fell, they made their move. Liara flew ahead silently, scouting the outer defenses. She returned to report that a small patrol was near the northern ridge. "If we act now, we can disrupt their systems before they know we are here," she whispered. Marcus nodded. "We'll split our approach. I'll target their communication devices. You lead the creatures and disrupt the machines from inside the valley." The plan was risky, but both trusted each other. Liara moved first, using her agility and knowledge of the forest to navigate the hidden paths. Small creatures, previously guided to safety, now became allies. They carried messages, caused distractions, and led the machines into natural traps. The rhythm of the forest worked with Liara, and she felt a thrill she had never experienced: control, strategy, and cooperation between species. Meanwhile, Marcus advanced along a narrow cliff path, avoiding the patrols and using tools to silently disable key systems. Each device he neutralized caused confusion among the machines below. Motors whirred and then fell silent, Sensors blinked erratically, and communication signals were scrambled. The base was beginning to collapse under the weight of its own dependence on technology, and the humans controlling it were baffled. Liara watched from above as a large extraction machine struggled to navigate the rocky terrain. She swooped down using vines and branches to tangle its wheels. The machine wobbled, then toppled into a shallow ravine, unable to continue. Creatures that had been cornered by the devices now escaped into the forest. Guided safely by Liara, Marcus moved quickly, disabling another communication hub. He could hear the frustrated shouts of the human operators inside the base. They were organized. But they had not anticipated a creature like Liara working alongside a human with knowledge of strategy and technology. Hours passed, and the base grew chaotic. Machines collided, pathways were blocked, and soldiers scrambled to regain control. Liara perched on a high ridge, wings spread wide, observing the chaos. She had never felt so alive. Not through violence, but through intelligence, planning, and courage. She realized that humans, when guided by purpose and respect, could be incredible allies. Suddenly, a loud alarm echoed through the valley. The main control room had noticed irregularities. Liara and Marcus knew they had limited time. Marcus whispered, "We need one final push. Disrupt the main generator. It controls everything." Air nodded. "I will lead the machines away. You take care of the generator." She swooped down, creating distractions. Machines followed her movements, tangled in vines, or forced into dead ends. Meanwhile, Marcus advanced carefully, using ropes and his tools to reach the generator. He examined it closely, understanding the circuits and mechanisms. With precision and speed, he disabled the main system. Lights flickered, gears ground to a halt, and the valley fell silent. The machines were immobilized, the soldiers stunned, and the forest once again safe. Liara landed beside Marcus, wings trembling with excitement and relief. "We did it." "Right," she breathed. Marcus smiled, though he was exhausted. "We did it together. You and I, Liara. Neither of us could have done this alone." The two looked around the valley. The once threatening machines now lay inactive, and the soldiers, realizing they could not advance, began to retreat. Liara felt a strange mix of triumph and amazement. The humans she had feared, the species she had distrusted for so long, could be powerful allies not only because of their strength, but because of their intelligence, courage, and willingness to respect life. As the first light of dawn touched the peaks of Veyara, Liara and Marcus began to restore the forest once more. Trees that had been trampled were supported and guided to grow straight again. Small creatures returned to their homes, and the silver rivers shimmered as life slowly reclaimed the valley. Liara felt a deep respect for Marcus. His bravery had not come from instinct alone, as her people relied upon, but from knowledge, strategy, and a moral compass that guided every action. He had proven that humans could be responsible, capable of great courage, and worthy of trust. "Liara," Marcus said softly, "we've shown that even in the face of danger, humans and Viari can work together. We've protected this forest and its creatures. But the world is bigger than this valley. We must be ready for more challenges." Liara nodded. She spread her wings wide, feeling the wind lift her slightly. "I see it now. Humans are not just strong, they are clever, compassionate, and brave. You have changed the way I see your kind." Marcus smiled. "And you have shown me that courage is not limited to humans. Your people are incredible, Liara. We can learn from each other." The bond between alien and human had grown stronger than ever. It was no longer simply trust. It was partnership, respect, and understanding. Each had learned from the other, combining the strengths of two very different species into a force capable of overcoming challenges that neither could face alone. As the day passed, word of the defeated machines began to spread through the forest. Creatures that had fled now returned, and the grove's energy seemed renewed. Liara and Marcus worked side by side, carefully restoring areas that had been damaged and teaching smaller creatures how to navigate safely through the rebuilt paths in the quiet moments between work. Liara looked at Marcus and realized something profound. Fear had not led to strength, but understanding had. She had spent her life avoiding humans, fearing what they could do. Yet in trusting one, in seeing him act with intelligence, courage, and respect, she had discovered a new way of living, one that combined vigilance with hope. But even as they celebrated their success, Liara remained cautious. There were still unknown threats, forces beyond the valley that could harm the forest, and challenges that could test their trust once more. Yet she no longer felt powerless. Together with Marcus, she was ready to face whatever came next. And so, under the twin suns and twin moons of Veyara, Liara and Marcus prepared for the future. They had faced danger, used intelligence over brute force, and forged a partnership that bridged species. They knew that more challenges awaited them, but for the first time, they were confident that no obstacle was too great when humans and Viari worked together. In that moment, Liara understood the truth that her people had never taught her. Courage, wisdom, and compassion could exist in all beings. And the greatest strength was found in collaboration, not conflict. The forest was safe, for now, but their journey was far from over. The sun rose over Veyara, casting golden light across the forests and silver rivers. The valley, once scarred by machines and intruders, now looked almost untouched, as if the chaos had never occurred. Liara perched atop a crystal cliff, wings spread wide, surveying the land she had fought to protect. She felt a sense of pride, not just in herself, but in the human who had stood by her side. "Marcus, are you sure it's over?" she asked, her voice tinged with caution. Marcus nodded, checking the horizon carefully. "For now," he said, "the base is gone, the machines are disabled, and the invaders have no way to coordinate. But we must remain vigilant. There could be more beyond these mountains." Liara's sharp eyes caught movement far in the distance. She tensed, ready to react, but Marcus placed a calming hand on her shoulder. "Not everything that moves is a threat," he said gently. "Sometimes life just continues." Right. Sure enough, the movement belonged to creatures returning to their homes, animals that had fled during the attacks, now emerging cautiously, guided by the paths Liara and Marcus had restored. Birds chirped in the trees, and the rivers shimmered with renewed life. The forest had survived, thanks to their combined effort. Liara spread her wings and descended, landing gracefully beside Marcus. "I never thought humans could do such things," she said. "You are more than what my people told me." Marcus smiled. "And you've taught me that Vieri are not just fast and strong, but clever and wise. We've learned from each other, Liara. That is what makes us powerful together." The days that followed were filled with rebuilding and preparation. Liara and Marcus worked tirelessly, repairing any remaining damage to the forest and ensuring that the creatures could move safely through their homes. Marcus shared knowledge of human tools and techniques to create durable bridges over rivers, and Liara showed him how to navigate the most dangerous areas with ease. Together, they trained the smaller creatures to recognize danger and find safe routes. They created markers and signals that could guide anyone unfamiliar with the forest, ensuring that even future visitors would not disrupt the delicate ecosystem. Through their work, Liara began to see the humans in a new light. They were capable of mistakes, yes, but also capable of incredible foresight, courage, and compassion. Marcus embodied everything she had once doubted existed in his kind. One evening, as the twin moons rose, casting silver light over the valley, Liara and Marcus sat together on a cliff, watching the river sparkle. The air was calm, filled only with the soft rustling of leaves and distant calls of creatures returning home. "I never thought I could feel hope like this," Liara admitted quietly. "I spent my life fearing humans, believing they would destroy everything. But now, I see something different. I see strength, courage, and care." Marcus turned to her, eyes reflecting the moonlight. "You've taught me too, Liara. You've shown me that understanding a world is more than observing it, it's protecting it, respecting it, and learning from it. We've both grown." For the first time, Liara felt a deep sense of connection, not just with Marcus, but with the idea that two very different species could coexist, protect, and even thrive together. The forest was proof of that. Their quiet moment was interrupted by a faint sound in the distance. A small group approaching. Leora's wings twitched, ready to react. But Marcus placed a steadying hand on her arm. "They're friendly," he said, recognizing the forms through the twilight. It was a small team of human scientists, sent to study Viera after hearing reports of unusual activity. Lyra's heart beat rapidly. Could they trust these newcomers? Marcus stepped forward, raising his hands in a gesture of peace. Lyra followed, observing closely. The humans approached cautiously, clearly aware of the potential danger, but guided by Marcus's calm presence. "We come in peace," one of the humans said. "We heard about disturbances in the valley and want to help." Liara tilted her head, studying them carefully. She sensed honesty in their actions, much like she had sensed in Marcus. Slowly she nodded, signaling that they could enter. Over the next few days, Marcus led the humans through the valley, teaching them the ways of the forest and its creatures. Liara observed closely, guiding them and showing them the hidden paths, safe routes, and the delicate balance that made Viera so unique. She noticed that these humans, like Marcus, were careful, respectful, and willing to learn. It was then that Liara realized something profound. Not all humans were the same. Fear and distrust had no place in her heart anymore. She had judged too quickly, believing the worst of an entire species. But through her experiences with Marcus, she had learned that courage, intelligence, and compassion could exist in any being, human or Veyari. One morning, as the first sun rose over the mountains, Lyra and Marcus stood at the highest cliff, overlooking the valley. The rivers gleamed like silver threads, and the trees swayed gently in the breeze. Creatures moved freely below, and the forest seemed alive with harmony. "We did it," Marcus said quietly. "The forest is safe, and we've shown that humans and Veyari can work together." Lyra nodded. "And we will continue to protect it. This is just the beginning. The world is bigger than this valley, but if we keep working together, we can make a difference." Marcus placed a hand on her shoulder. "I believe that too, Lyra. Together, we are stronger than any threat." For the first time in her life, Lyra felt a sense of peace. The fear she had carried for so long, the fear of humans, of the unknown, was gone. In its place was understanding, trust, and hope. As the days passed, the partnership between Lyra and Marcus became a symbol throughout the forest. Creatures watched in curiosity, and even other Veyari began to understand that humans were not always the destroyers they had feared. Stories of bravery, intelligence, and respect began to spread. Bridging gaps between species, Lyra often reflected on the journey that had brought her here. From fear and suspicion to trust and partnership. She had faced storms, machines, and doubt. Yet through every challenge, she had grown stronger and wiser. She realized that courage was not just in fighting enemies, but in understanding others, forming alliances, and protecting life. Marcus, too, had grown. He had seen a world unlike any he had known, learned its rules, and discovered that strength was not measured by force alone, but by wisdom, respect, and cooperation. Together, they had changed the valley, and perhaps they had begun to change the future of Veyara itself. One evening, Lyra and Marcus stood by the silver river, watching the sun dip below the horizon. The sky was painted in brilliant shades of red and gold, reflecting in the water like a living painting. Lyra looked at Marcus, her eyes soft with gratitude. "Thank you," she said, "for trusting me, for teaching me, for showing me that humans can be more than what I feared." Marcus smiled. "No, Lyra, thank you. For showing me the strength of your world, the beauty of your people, and the power of courage and intelligence. Together, we've proven something important, that we can do more together than apart." As the moons rose, casting silver light across the forest, Lyra spread her wings and looked at the horizon. She felt hope for the first time in her life, not just for herself, but for her species, for humans. And for the countless creatures who called Veyara home, the journey had been difficult, full of danger and uncertainty, yet through courage, intelligence, and trust, they had triumphed. Lyara realized that the future was not written in fear, but in the choices they made together. And in that moment, under the twin moons and the golden sunlight of a new day, Lyara and Marcus understood that their bond between human and Veari was more than friendship. It was proof that cooperation, respect, and courage could create a future where all life could thrive. Veara was safe. The forest was alive. And the story of trust, intelligence, and bravery would continue carried in the wings of Lyara, the mind of Marcus, and the hearts of all who would protect this world for the first time. Lyara truly believed in the strength of humans and the power of hope.